Touching on sickle cell, you said for those who know your experience at the, at Connect, I saw some of the video. Was it on Connect when they played it? Where's the video? No, there was something where you're talking about your story. It wasn't Connect. I think you're talking about your story in sickle cell, and I said to you, "Oh, guy, you better make sure you leave some of that talk for me because it was really heartwarming and real." So, what are the effects of sickle cell for you as a grown man now?
Okay, there's a few. I think one of the effects, so I'll start with number one. The effects are the accumulation of past crises. So when we have a sickle cell pain episode, it means we're not getting enough blood or oxygen flowing around our body and our organs. And so what that can do is actually lead to tissue and organ damage or bone damage. So for me, I've got long-term chronic pain in my hips. I've had issues with my shoulders. I've had complications with my eyes. And these things accumulate over time. So I don't want to say baggage, it's basically carrying the remnants of past episodes with me. I'm still feeling the effects of them. The ongoing parts are, I struggle sometimes with anemia. I'm tired, sometimes it's actually hard to just get out of bed because I'm that exhausted. And I can't explain why to you. So that's part of the ongoing management of it. There are things that I would like to do that I can't do, or I have to take precautions. So the way I dress in winter, I can't just go out how I want because that can trigger a crisis. I can't just go swimming. That can trigger a crisis. When the seasons switch, so when we're going from autumn to winter, from winter to spring especially, I'm more susceptible to infections. I find it harder to fight infections. So that can trigger a crisis. So it's about managing these situations as best as I can. The other things I've had to do, so even with sickle cell, you have a lot of medication to help you manage day to day, and some of those have quite serious side effects. So I've had to take, before I've gone on certain medications, I've had to do certain things. Give you an example, before I went on one of my particular medications, one of the side effects is that it can make you infertile for a period. So as a precaution, I had my sperm frozen. So there's all these little things that, this is just my story, this is what I've had to go through. So that is just, I guess, part and parcel of living the condition. But it varies for everybody that has the condition. So what I'm going through is not exactly what somebody else who has a condition will go through. It's a unique condition in that sense.
When you say it could trigger a crisis, how long do they last for, and I wouldn't say what is the pain, because all I can remember is I had a friend who used to have crises and he just had to sit in a bath. And I never understood it. Do you know what I mean? So what does it do, and then how do you try and manage a crisis when it occurs?
It can be anything from a few hours to a few weeks. When I used to have them really bad, I would be in hospital, and my hospital visits will usually be around a week. I'll be in hospital because I've gone to the point where I'm in so much pain that I need to call the ambulance. And when you're having a crisis, you have to remember, so when you have a crisis, it's because, okay, let me back it up. We all have red blood cells. Our red blood cells are not the same shape because of the sickle. So that's why we call it sicklers, because our red blood cells have a shape that looks like a sickle, and that gets stuck in our blood vessels. On top of that, our body naturally replaces our red blood cells every few months, but that process is a lot faster for sicklers. So when that happens, red blood cells carry oxygen. So not only are they getting stuck in your vessels, now you're not getting enough oxygen. So in that instance, you're just in excruciating pain. It feels like someone is just taking like a bone crusher or a sledgehammer and just going at you. That's the pain I can describe it. So things like sitting in hot water helps to try and stimulate blood flow, or people massaging you, or I use a lot of water bottles. That's why I use a lot. And if it's too much, you have to go into hospital, because like I said, you can easily, that situation can quickly escalate. So you can go from, if you're not getting oxygen, as you can imagine, your organs are being starved. So it's about now, what do you do to quickly get oxygen flowing around your body again? And so sometimes that means, yeah, you have to be in hospital so that you can get IV fluids. Sometimes you also need blood transfusions because your body is broken down so much that you've turned anemic.
Has that ever happened to you? Or has it?
It has, but the complication with me is that I also react to blood transfusions. So I remember 5 years ago, I was having surgery on my hips because, like I told you, I have long-term chronic pain in my hips, and that stemmed from a crisis I had when I was at uni in 2010. So to try and, correct some of the issues I was having, I had to go through a procedure called bilateral cord decompression to try and get the bone in my hips to grow back stronger. So to prep me for surgery, they did an exchange transfusion on me like a few months before. Sorry, like a few weeks before the surgery. I was supposed to have the surgery, I think July. They did the transfusion in June. Where an exchange transfusion is where they basically replace all your blood in your system.
All of it?
All of it. And literally, I think it was within a few hours, because they're monitoring, I was in the worst pain I'd been in years. My body just rejected it. I must have had an antibody or something. And that was not the first time. I've had like blood transfusions where they give you 2 or 3 units before, and I've just always felt, I don't know how to explain it, I just felt uneasy. But this was the worst time, and I was in hospital for about 8 days. And so transfusions are usually what sicklers get, but for me, they have to take a bit of a different approach because of that history. So yeah.
Wow. But see, I think even when you're saying that, people will understand, even though you say it's a bit like, I'm back to the women. See, women is always back to you in a good way. Why you wouldn't want, because you wouldn't want to see a baby have to go through that, to have that same fight. It's almost like, sorry, it's not even the same. Let me not put it like that. A correlation which is separate is, I grew up poor. I don't want my child to grow up poor. I'll do anything in my power so that my child doesn't have to walk the same steps I did if it was painful.
Exactly.
And I think for you to say that, or for you to feel that way, only you know how you feel about it. Yeah. And I think if you did even maintain that stance, for me personally, I would respect it.
I still maintain that stance, don't get me wrong. I still maintain, I just don't let that be my only sort of guiding principle in terms of making a decision. And for me also, I like to disclose the fact that I have sickle cell, because you have to be able to handle it. And I'm very pragmatic. So it's very black and white with me. So listen, this is what I go through. Observe it. See how you can even cope with me living with this. And if you can't cope with it, that is cool. Please don't think that makes you weak or it makes you any less of a person or a human, because that's not for me. We all have our breaking points. So for me, it's about, you also have to be comfortable knowing that, but if you're coming on board, this is the situation and you're going to be a part of this experience. And if you're not able to handle it, that's fair. Like,
have you ever had
back away.
Have you ever had women who have felt they could handle it and they couldn't?
No.
Oh, you haven't hit them that close. Look at you.
But I did have a friend that she was going out with a guy that had sickle cell, and he did not disclose it. And then he had a crisis once, and it was just It just hit her. And I was like, boom, listen, you need to make an honest assessment with yourself. Can you handle this? Like, real talks, because it's not fair on him either that he's not going to be able to have you as a support system if he can't.
True.
And yeah, she ended up walking away. And I said, boom, that's cool. Like, it doesn't make you any less of a person because you did that. It's actually a sign of strength that you're able to, admit that, you can't do it, and back away. So, yeah, I think I've not personally had it, but I know of people that have.